So here we are, episode 4, which is a bonus track, I think, or a bonus piece. We're here with TJ and the
Oh,
co-host with the 90-year-old immune system, as you said last time. So this is me. This is Rugged Ronnie or Dan. Uh, TJ, nice to see you.
how we doing, mate? All right. Where you been?
I'm very good.
Where?
I've been here, there, and everywhere. Where have you been all my life, TJ?
Everywhere except for on the podcast. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Pleasure. So, you've been doing 3 episodes so far with some incredible artists. How's it been?
Well, can you believe we're on the third episode already? It's been a wild ride, shall we say? For them, probably wondering who this geezer is that is talking utter nonsense at them. No, it's been really good, and from the last conversation I had with Josh, I said, look, much like him, I've gone out my way to pick people I want to speak to, people that want to be around our table, and people have actually supported us from the very beginning or recently. So, we reached out to Jack Browning. Jack, I've spoke to for a long time through Instagram. Weirdly, through his artwork to begin with, because he painted pictures of classic country artists and
Of you?
of me. I'm hoping he'll do one of me. That would be good. I
That'd be
didn't
really
mention
good.
because him and Josh are apparently doing a picture. I don't know if it's of each other. I did ask towards the end, and I think I had a few beers by that point, and I said, "Oh, are you going to draw each other nude?" Um, and then he went along with it and said, "Yeah, maybe fig leaves." So maybe they are doing that. So that's how I knew Jack anyway. And then his music kind of came along through the Instagram, and he said, to be fair, a lot of people mentioned the same thing to him, that they kind of didn't realize he did music. And then when you actually look into his music, it's amazing, and it's quite different to a lot of what the UK country artists are doing. So the UK country people are doing a lot of covers. They're doing the kind of pop country stuff, which I'm not really into.
No.
I said there's always a place for that type of thing, and it's very mainstream. But I like to seek out the more indie stuff and the more kind of traditional stuff. So Jack's doing a lot of that. He's been touring Holland lately, as I've seen for his Instagram. And then we moved on. I thought, let's mix it up slightly. So then we had Anna Scott on all the way
She's
from
incredible,
Nashville. Oh, she was
for real. I
fantastic.
mean,
Yeah.
they're both incredible, but listening to that first sort of, yeah, that piece that she did for you was incredible, so
Yeah, I wish, and this is no slight on Jack, I didn't actually ask him to do one because the idea came after, and I thought, bugger, I should have asked Jack. So, Jack, if you're listening, mate, yeah, I would have asked you if the idea had come sooner. So maybe you could do a retrospective gig for the Rugged Revival.
just a bit of an extra. We'll do a bit of an extra one,
Yeah,
like a loud lounge, but
no,
not a
like
live lounge.
a special. Yeah, it makes it more special
Yeah,
that way. But no, she was fantastic. It just feels incredible to actually watch somebody that good in front of you in such an intimate moment doing a one-to-one podcast. I just forgot I was actually on the podcast when she was doing it. I was just clapping away like a seal, and I was like, gee, this is great. Thank you. So it wasn't just for me, it was for everybody. And I like the fact that Anna came on because, whilst pop country isn't my thing, and she's not just doing that, to be fair to her, she's doing a lot of different types of tracks. It was trying to find the perspective of a young female artist or entertainer going out to Nashville and all of the kind of challenges that they face. Because if you look at the kind of particularly the UK country groups, they're all desperate to get out to Nashville. And I
yeah.
think it's interesting to hear from somebody who's been out there. She's been out there for what, 4 years, I think she said, since she was quite young, and to hear the stuff that she's having to do, and the fact she tells me she's doing regularly 3 4 hour shifts. um that is stamina, and that is just
It is
ridiculous, isn't it?
unreal. I mean, I get knackered over singing two karaoke songs in a pub.
You got knack
And
switching your computer on.
it's, yeah, yeah. I was trying to get the Wi-Fi working. It was just disaster. It was
You were
just
just
running up
sweating
and
to
down the
death.
stairs. I was knackered. Terrible.
So I really enjoyed Anna's interview. And if I look at the analytics, actually, at the minute, Anna is ahead of both Jack and Josh, interestingly. So it's interesting to see what kind of demographics are perhaps listening to the show or watching it on YouTube, or the fact that she's just got a big family and her mum and dad and everyone else are watching it. Either way, either way, I don't care. It's good.
No.
And then Josh, I've been speaking to for a while, not as long as Jack. Josh, I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, he'd sent me his album Little Fires, which he did not too long ago. And as I said, we'll try and listen to as many tracks or albums that you put out. And if you want us, specifically to listen to it, I think it's an honor that you've reached out and said, have a listen. I think it's good and I think you'll like it. So, I made a conscious effort of going through that. And then feeding back to Josh, saying that, these are, I love these particular tracks,
Yeah.
Little Fires and Between the Bottle and Me, I think it was called, which is actually one of his earlier albums. And then you just kind of go in a bit of a rabbit hole, and that's where we started getting to talking, and that's what I said to him as well. You're probably pissed off with me now because I'll just bug the shit out of you until you come on our show, you join our Facebook group, you're one of us. So
And not just the fact that you've pissed him off on messages, but you've also pissed him off by calling him old as soon as you went into the as soon as
I
you
thought
went
it's
into
pretty
the
funny.
introduction. You're
I'll try
not
to come up
such
with a
a
funny
spring chicken
introduction.
yourself, are you, TJ? Hey,
I
but
know, I know. I think that touched the nerve of him, to be fair. But I did say I'm about the same age, so it's acceptable for me to call him old,
But
I
listen,
think.
it was great to hear, all the three artists and listen to them and their experiences and what they've done and where they want to be, where they're going so far. I mean, even speaking about the barn idea, we were talking about it earlier, off of this, we were talking about it earlier, saying, trying to get some people over, trying to get some people to the UK, some really good up and coming artists, get them all together in one place, it'd be incredible. And we don't have that opportunity over here a lot of the time. So, it's
No, you kind of, and it's no slight on what's going on at the minute. When I look at some of the festivals, it's kind of again generic-y kind of pop country. I'm going to piss a load of people off probably in
yeah. Stop saying
it's
pop.
certain
Stop
group.
saying
All
it.
right, I'll stop it. But I'm just biased because I like the Kentucky scene. I like the Appalachia mountain music, which is why I follow a lot of those type of guys. They're so talented, but I don't see any of them or hardly any of them over in the UK. So to be able to do, how do we call it? The Grand Old Revival. I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll probably get
Great
sued.
idea. Great idea. Yeah. Copyright it. Grand Old Revival and say you
It
took the name from
sounds
Grand Old
similar to
Opry.
something, but I'm not sure what that might be.
I
Um,
haven't just said that. Anyway.
Let it
Yeah.
go. Let it go. So I think, like you, we don't know what we're doing, but the fact that Josh said,
just
it
to, just to top it off, I have no idea what I'm doing. Just to make that quite clear from the start.
I'm sure I told him that. I'm sure I told him that. Before you even could
I
think
think it was
about
half a
booking
bottle of
tickets
whiskey
to come
down, to be
over.
fair.
Yeah, that was it. That's how I do it. I get them drunk and then they'll agree to anything. Well, not anything. So, so I think that's a good one in the cards to perhaps have a look at next year to see if we can make something happen, even on a small scale, and then we build it up. I think, if we've got enough interested people, let's say Josh, if we can get Nick Jameson, I'm such a
Yeah.
fanboy of that dude. People like that who are just in not just independent artists but people that are established. um I'd love that. It's a pipe dream, mate, isn't it?
It is, but listen, if we don't push for it, if we don't, I mean, like this, you've pushed so much to get this going, and look how it's taken off. There's 3 episodes on here now. The little bonus track today, but 3 episodes of having 3 incredible artists on. But look how it's taken off. There's so much more interest. There's so many people that want to get involved, that want to follow you, that want to see it. And it's just incredible, to see that uptake so very, very quickly. And long may that continue. Let's you've got to have
I'm as
pipe dreams, haven't
surprised as anyone else, to be honest with you,
you? Yeah,
because I remember
I am.
waking up and I think I texted you and said, I'm going to do a podcast, and you're like, really? What do you know about podcasts? I know nothing. But then when I sent the message out on Instagram and the group, I was like, oh man, I've committed now, I need to do it. So that
And
was
it's
the
great that you have, because you've had so much really positive feedback from everybody that has been on, and people talking in the groups and people being involved in that. You've had so much really good feedback. So, cheers to that.
No,
SA.
definitely. Cheers to that, mate. It's and we've got some really kind people in the group and our contacts on Instagram. They've sent messages of support, and I'm chuffed with that because every time I go on, or just before I go onto these podcasts, I'm actually shitting my pants.
Yeah,
Um,
like me tonight.
like you
Yeah,
said,
first time. Hello.
because I mean, particularly the first one, I think I must have been, messing around for an hour, just making sure everything was there. I probably had 5 pages of notes. I mean, it's calming down a little bit now. Now I've done
Yeah,
the third or fourth one, so
veteran now.
it's
Veteran now, pretty much a
it's
celebrity. No one cares,
earned my stripes. Yeah, my purple of bad podcasting. So no, I think long may that continue. And like you, I've got a list of people that I'd love to see. A lot of them is just like they're never going to come on the show, but if you don't ask, you don't know.
Exactly, exactly. And if you don't ask, you don't get. So, and I think we've got. I mean, when you said about that, just going back to your original thing, saying that you text me saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go and do a podcast." Text, not WhatsApp, but saying that you're gonna go and do a podcast. Um, do you think you want to get involved? Do you want to have a piece of that? Do you want to come on? Do you want to be a co-host? And I was like, absolutely, 100%. I mean, I only very recently I realised that you liked country music. I've loved country music since I was very, very young, and I was like the rare one to love country music and to hear someone else that is so passionate about it, uh, but not the pop, not the usual sort of stuff. It's great to hear. So
I don't mind a bit of pop. Don't get me wrong. When people are
you're
mentioning
backtracking now. Stop backtracking.
they talk about Luke Bryan and stuff like that. I thought, yeah, there is a place for that. And sometimes you just want to stick on a bit of Luke Bryan, and I get it, and I get why people like it, but yeah, not for me. And it's interesting because you talked about your love of country. You're from a different kind of background of country because your dad's Irish, and he played in those sort of fiddle bands over there.
Definitely not a fiddle band,
I
but
don't know why I
yeah.
said it like that. Fiddle bands. um, so, but then you're more into, and you've got a better grounding and understanding of like classic country, and seeing your picture in the background of, I've got to get the name right, George Jones, and this is where I get
Correct.
slated
Yeah.
because my knowledge and understanding of classic country isn't there because I didn't grow up on that. I grew up on
No.
rock, classic rock, and I found country through the years through listening to classic rock, but southern rock, because one of my favorite ever bands is Leonard Skinner and the
Yeah.
Eagles. And when you kind of navigate through that stuff, you find country. And I properly started listening to country, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago. And then it seems quite early. I've always listened to it, but perhaps not realizing it. But then the newer stuff that came out that really kind of set me on a passion, or on an obsession with it, was like the Tyler Childers stuff, the Flatland Cavalry, and like I said, it's quite recent stuff, and I think there's been a real
Yeah.
resurgence of particularly new, and as Josh put it, the hillbilly states,
Yeah.
or the side of the music that have been kicking ass for a good few years now, and they have been. Their music is bloody incredible, and I wish
Yeah.
I could
It
listen to
is.
it more on the radio, and I would never have found it if I had not randomly gone on Spotify. And I think it was Ethan or Alfie, one of my boys, was asleep on me, and I couldn't touch the phone. I literally couldn't touch it, so it just went on some random tangent on Spotify. It could have come up with anything,
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
stupid crap, but it didn't. It came up with like this new country stuff, a new sound. I was like, I'm not sure about it, but I like it, and
Yeah.
I went with it. So I never stopped since then.
And I think that's why we've got such a different background. From it works really well because you like that sort of stuff. I like it as well, but I'm very grounded into my old school country, if you want to call that. Around your George Jones, your Charlie Pride. So many different artists then, and I mean, I grew up on that with my mum listening to it on a CD, or a tape actually in the car in
Ooh,
my Seat Ibiza
your A-trick.
with my mum. Yeah, with with the G Reg Seat Ibiza ready to go into backwards and forwards to Watford and whatever else shopping, listening to that the country music vibe, and it meant something to me because it was the background music behind it, it was the words they were using, but it was never a thing really in coming into school, people wouldn't say, "Oh," they would always listen to the usual hip hop, R&B, and all that sort of stuff. Whereas,
Spice Girls,
for
yeah.
me, yeah, or Spice, or like handing out Spice Girls postcards, and there's me with a picture of George Jones. I've got a signed copy. I've got Charlie Price new CD. It was all about that. So we got a good mix on
So you
that.
didn't
And
get
that,
bullied at all at school then,
no, no, I didn't know.
no? Much.
That's another story. We haven't got enough time for that. But again, from you mentioned my dad saying about, the Irish bands that he's involved with. My dad was in a band many, many years ago in the 60s, I think it was, 60s, 70s, or early 70s, where it was more of like an Irish country band, if you like.
But wasn't
Uh,
he? You
uh,
sent me a link for him once. I don't know if it was on YouTube or Spotify, but they were an established band
they
and
were,
they'd
yeah,
done some
yeah.
recording. What were they called?
So they were called the Islanders, and not to be confused with the Dubliners, to be fair. So the Islanders, and they've got two songs which are currently on YouTube, which is one is Country Morning, and the other one is called Four Walls and a Window. And my dad was the drummer and lead singer in that
Oh,
band, which
cool.
is really rare. It's really rare to have the drummer who's a lead singer. And I was so proud of that, knowing when I was a kid, I wasn't so much proud of it because it was like my dad singing, how embarrassing. But my dad singing, them songs, being out and about, and then he transitioned into the sort of early '90s when I was growing up. Um, when he was doing sort of on the road into London, in the Watford areas, in the home counties. He was in a band called Misty, and it was him and my best mate's granddad. My best mate's granddad was on the keyboards. He used to have two keyboards playing away, and they'd sing all the Irish songs, all the Irish country songs. It was that old school get together, on a Saturday night, all the lot. They'll be queuing out the doors with the
With
silver and golden
Irish knees
tubes.
up.
Yeah, yeah, it's right. Yeah, but everybody, you'd see all these couples coming out because they want to dance on a Saturday night. It was the dance of the Saturday night, and coming out, listening to it, having a proper dance, and just having a good time. And I think for me, in my head, I always wanted to continue that. I wanted to continue that sort of get together. Everybody just goes out on one night. Everybody has a good time. There's no problems. There's no drama. Everybody has a good time, has a few drinks, goes home really happy, and it's a live band you've just been listening to. Whereas I think now it's very, I think it's very commercialized. Like there's no, I think like the tickets, for example. I mean, I was looking at an event coming up. I won't say who, but I was looking at an event coming up,
Tell us
and it
the
was
name.
tell us the name. What's your message? I was looking at the tickets, and the ticket prices were like ridiculous. It was like 150 pound for a ticket or 200 pound for a ticket, and you
Was it
think,
like that at the beginning? Because I've
no,
only witnessed it for the last few years, and it's
no.
been obscene prices, and I just wondered, was it like
No,
that?
it was never like that before. I mean, if you think about it, in the in the early '90s when my dad was playing, when we used to turn up with my dad, and it was like a family thing, we'd go and help him put out the gear and all that sort of stuff, um, and it would be like a couple of quid to get in to go and have a good night. The drinks were ridiculously cheap, um, and everybody was just there from like 6, 7 o'clock drinking all night up until 1, 2 in the morning.
Till you fell
Hence why
over.
my hence why my school years weren't exactly the best of, of being out till 2 o'clock in the morning, sleeping on the sofas, and not that there was any child neglect or anything else, but it was a good time. That's what it used to be like. It's
That was
being
the
on the
culture,
road,
yeah, yeah.
doing it. But now, I can't imagine how people can afford to go out and see their bands, to go and see some of the stuff they're doing, like the good bands that have got a name and have got a reputation, because there's a lot of companies that are commercializing it and costing a
Milking
fortune.
it. I think
Yeah,
it's a
they are.
shame. You know,
It
I've
is.
seen obviously Chris Stapleton been playing. is it? I forget what day it is, but I'm sure he's been playing over the
Mm.
last couple of days, or at least this
Yes, he was
weekend.
playing yesterday at the O2.
And I can imagine those tickets are really expensive, and it just takes the fun out of it for me. I think I'd
It
love to see
does.
Chris Stapleton, but I'm not really interested in seeing him from 300 yards away with a telescope.
Yeah. No.
The sound will be great, obviously, but
Yeah.
like I could sit and watch him on YouTube and just have a good old time. And people are probably going like, it's the experience you go for, and yeah, I prefer smaller, intimate gigs. I'm making them.
I do. Yeah.
I think for next year, and this is what we need to do, is go and see more live bands in more intimate settings.
Oh,
Like Jack
definitely. Yeah.
Browning's doing I forget the name, the Grace Theatre, I think it's called in
Yeah.
London. I would much rather pay my money to go and see Jack in smaller places, and you
Yeah.
know, you get more for your money, and they're good bands, and I'd rather support those. And Chris doesn't need our money, he's sure he's made a few quid.
Steady. Steady. Oh, yeah, and you're right. And I think, from my point of view, I went to country a few years back. Now, don't get me wrong, nothing against it. It's a big, it's a big event. They want to get so many people involved. It's a real good push in the UK for country music, having country music artists coming over and playing, but don't charge £200 a ticket. you know, and if
Yeah.
you're gonna, even people are traveling halfway across the UK to come and see these country music artists,
What do you get for that
paying
200
hotel.
quid?
The very basics. I mean, VIP is ridiculous amounts of money. I can't remember off the top of my head. Um,
Is it a weekend pass? The week,
it's no, it's not a weekend pass. So you buy different days, and you get accepted into to different places depending on who you want to see, who the headliners are that day. But I think even people that are traveling across the UK, they're coming down, they're having to come into London to the O2, and then they've got to pay for hotels on top of that, and train travel and whatever else. And you're looking at some of the costs for the hotels are like £400 a night. I mean, it's just, don't
well, they bump it
don't
up, don't they?
exploit people. There's
Yeah.
just there's just no need for it. And you're absolutely right. We should do the more intimate events. We should go to and forget about your Londons, your Birminghams. Go to the home counties, go to the outskirts because they don't get enough support. I think there's a lot of local artists that go to local pubs, they go to local areas where it could be quite busy. They're incredible talent, but people won't travel there because it's not advertised right or whatever you. But
It's
it's
not
just
in the cool places, like, shall
no,
we say, London, Manchester, those sort of,
no.
arenas. But no, look, I agree. And mainly because I hate going into London and I'm lazy. And if I can go somewhere local, I'd
Yeah.
much prefer that. But we've got, and she's pied me completely on Instagram. So I'm going to call her. Uh, I keep wanting to say Sydney
This
Sweeney,
isn't
bloody
this isn't
Sunny. Have
this
I?
isn't the one that you got called a pussy of, was it? Oh no,
Okay, Josh called me
what did
a.
Josh say?
Either call me a wuss or a pussy. I don't know
Yeah,
because I think I had a few whiskies by that point. I said, right, I'm going to message Sonny Sweeney. Let me get it right, Sonny Sweeney, not
yeah, yeah.
Sydney Sweeney. If I've messaged her on Sweeney, that's my fault, and Sydney's never going to reply. To be fair, so
Good old Jeff Sweeney.
Jeff Sweeney, yeah, that old classic one. So she's
Yeah,
playing. There was a point to why I said that. She's playing very close to me in some arenas around Shrewsbury and the kind of the Birmingham region. So I think it's great that she's come all the way over. I think she's a Texas-based artist, and she's on the playlist and someone that I've been following for a while through some of the online radio shows. So I like her stuff, and I think it's great that she's actually coming and playing some, I would say, proper gigs rather
yeah.
than these soulless kind of. We're never gonna get invited to these places now. We've just slagged it off.
No, no. But that's
But
the bonus of
technically,
it.
I haven't named any places. So,
No, I have.
you
So anyway, I won't be getting an invite. You'll be doing the rest of the episodes by yourself, as usual.
No difference there. It'll be
But
fine.
according to your comments, that will probably be the way that I do because I'll be sick as a immune system of a 90-year-old female, apparently. Um, anyway, but I think for from what you were going back to what you were saying earlier around messaging these people, messaging the artists, messaging them, building up the focus on the rugged revival. because people want to listen to that. And if you want to get involved, just get involved. It's just we want to hear you. We want to be able to interact with you and see what you're doing. There's a lot of artists that aren't out there that don't get advertised so much. But this is the place for them to come. This is the place for them to come and
Well,
talk about it.
I think so. And I think, well, what's the point in being on social media if you're not prepared to talk to people? And I think it's been brilliant. And
You
to be
mean you mean me?
exactly, yeah.
I've just, by the way, I've just started my social media trend, and I've just started my Instagram, you know, page, whatever you want to call it. um, and because I was always been rubbish with social media, so now you've got to be on it. I'm starting off, starting to get it built up, and
You haven't
it's
got a fucking clue. Yeah, no,
no,
that's
I've got a clue.
it's quite evident
Pressing
so
buttons
far.
like that.
Well, if you're out there and listening, anyone, there might be one or two people
Help.
listening. Can you help Dan and perhaps just give him a follow? It doesn't look like some random weird account that's called Rugged Ronnie.
Yeah, don't forget at rugged_Ronnie. I got it right. And at the Rugged Revival.
Oh, right, yeah,
Because I
you've
know
got to get
you
the
hate
actual
I know
handle
you
right.
hate
Otherwise,
doing it. Yeah.
some other guy called Rugged Ronnie is going to get a hell of a lot of.
Yeah, who is
Well, I say a
this?
hell of
Who
a
is
lot of.
this geezer?
Yeah, bloody hell, it's
One
picked
or
up.
two, something like
Uh,
that.
But no, I think it's been great, and to be fair, everyone I've messaged has either, come back to me and they've never said no. They've either just ignored me completely, which is I take that as a no, or maybe. I take it as a maybe. They haven't read it yet.
Yeah. Delete,
Or they've come
block.
back and said, I would love to join your Facebook group, which has been brilliant. And even these kind of bigger artists, I'm
Your
being quite
first tube.
surprised. My
You got
face
first tube.
well, joined to Facebook, and they've joined that, and they've you put me off my flow now, you prick.
Sorry,
So,
sorry. I'm
what
new. I don't
what
know
was
what I'm
I
doing.
saying? What was
Yeah.
I saying? So yeah, no, they've joined the group, and they've agreed to come on the podcast if I've asked them, obviously. Um,
Yeah.
some of them just don't reply, and I get it because I think a lot of their agents, their handlers, or whatever, if they're bigger stars, shall we say, they're not going to perhaps be looking at every message, and they must get hundreds or thousands,
Yeah,
each
yeah, yeah.
day. Mine should still take precedence because we're important people. Don't they know?
Absolutely. VIP.
With VIP.
Now that you've done 3 episodes and you're a massive celeb.
Don't they know who I
Uh,
am? Yeah,
yeah.
quite good at that.
So, so just going on that, I want to ask you. Obviously, I said to you earlier, I was really nervous about coming on. I was really nervous about it. I was, really, really excited about doing it. What has been? So I know you said about your nerves earlier, but what has been your sort of highlight moment so far, or a couple of highlight moments?
Good or bad? What do you mean?
Both, both, and indifferent. Let's go for free.
Good, bad, and indifferent. Um, well, the good one is kicking off the show. I think that's always going to be a moment I'll remember, sort of, because I had a few, as it were. But I remember most of it. I think it was really good, and Jack was such a good guest, and the fact he had so many stories that were really interesting.
Yeah,
I really, I'm grateful that he came on to do the first show. I think actually Josh was meant to be first, so Jack stole his thunder. And I can't remember why. It's probably because he's a big diva and he just wanted to be on the first show. That's what I'm going to put it down as. No, he's a
yeah,
good guy, and I really enjoyed it. So for me, that was a definite highlight. Speaking of Josh, obviously was a highlight because I'm just so engrossed with that scene and what he's doing at Ramble at the Randall. I always have trouble saying that. Um, is amazing, and the scene he's got going there, and it's just incredible. So I've loved that. I've loved Anna's insight, and she was the first one to perform on the show live, and
yeah,
unfortunately the audio that we've got at the minute, maybe we'll get better with this as we invest and
yeah, yeah.
expand on what we do. But how she came across on that, I just think it was
It's already
incredible.
cost me a fortune.
I know, yeah. You've spent 80 quid on
Mind you, it's
Amazon.
not me, is
Well
it?
done.
It's the artist. It's not me that that anybody's worried about. So
No, nobody wants to listen from you. It's exactly. Which is how I've kind of planned these shows. Is I want to do as least talking as possible, A, because I'm boring, but B,
I
people want
second
to
that.
hear from. Oh no, yeah, thanks for that. And you'll learn, when you actually come on the podcast.
Yeah.
You're actually quite
We've got the
boring. When you
first one
talk to people
booked.
that are boring, you think, bloody hell, I am really
Yeah.
boring.
I don't really am boring.
Bloody
Oh my
hell,
God.
done nothing with my life. Jesus Christ, you know.
Yeah, I'm going to start a podcast. All right then.
Oh, mate,
There you
yeah,
go.
I've done that 10 years ago and a million other things. So yeah, welcome to the party. But so yeah, I can't remember what I was talking about. So yeah, over back to you, mate.
So I think the biggest thing for me of listening to the podcast so far, I know I asked you about your highlights, but I think for me it really. So I've always had this dream of country music. One of my bucket list. I want to go to Nashville. I want to go and enjoy it. I want to be where the real country is. I want to go to the Grand Ole Opry. I want to go to, go and experience Nashville. And I've had all my dreams shattered. But they've the feedback that we had from the artists is around how hard it is to not just, it's not like the days where you turn up in a bar and you just start playing. Everybody's like, "Oh my god, he's going to be a star, or she's going to be a star, or whatever." And I think I was surprised of how commercial Nashville is. Am I surprised? Probably, yeah. No, I am. I am surprised about that.
We see it from
Um,
afar, though, don't we?
yeah, and we see it like, for me, I see it of listening to these people on YouTube, if they've put some videos on there. I see it from people that have played in bars and stuff, and they're getting to that point where they're just starting to be successful. Whereas I haven't actually seen like the raw talent going into Nashville and thinking, like Anna was saying that, what she's playing and how many hours she's got to do, and she's got to go around visiting different places. It's really hard. I mean, it's so difficult. I'm not saying that, it wouldn't be hard because it's country music, but it's trying to establish yourself first in this sort of it sort of reminds me of like a Hollywood style. It's the Hollywood of country music. It's just madness.
Well, the amount of people, and I know you mock me for it, my grit, the grind, and the revival, but
No,
it
no, no.
does hark back. You say that now when we're on air,
Yeah, I know.
yeah. You do
Yeah,
mock
wait until I've had a whiskey.
But but no, and that's what I really admire from all of the people that I speak to is just the sheer kind of grit and the grind that they're doing. And I spoke to somebody recently called Eli Kane. His stuff is amazing. I think he's taking off quite well at the minute. So Eli Kane and the 53s, I think they're called, his backing band. I'm sorry if I got that wrong, Eli, but his stuff's amazing. And I think in the day he's a house painter, and I'm sure he's still house painting. And at the weekend he's going off supporting the Costellos, in
Wow.
these awesome venues. And it's like, he's still grinding out there until
Yeah.
he's making it. And I love that sort of thing. And it's the same for Anna going out to Nashville as a young girl. I think back to what we were doing when we were
Yeah.
24 years old. I think,
Yeah. I,
oh,
I don't want to. I don't
no,
want to
I
watch it.
don't want to.
Yeah,
It's quite
that's a
embarrassing.
really bad vibe.
It certainly wasn't trying to make it in Nashville. It was trying to make it in
No.
Luton, and I failed at
Yeah.
that. So,
Or trying to get to Ibiza as trying to be cool.
exactly. So, you could see it. And even then, just not like I said with Josh, when he joined, it's like he's had a different grind. He's gone through various kind of phases in his career with Jericho Woods and, starting all over again and, and finding his own space with the barn and stuff like that. And it's like, I love the fact that everyone's willing to work for it. And it's not like we were talking about this overnight stardom with viral sensations. And, it's great if people can do that. But for me, it doesn't kind of represent the true kind of the reality
No.
of what should be happening, should it?
No, it doesn't. And I think I look at some artists that I've seen recently, and it's only because, on a sort of Friday night I'll have some beers, I'll probably have a lot of whiskey, and I will watch YouTube. My thing is like going onto YouTube and finding all these videos that people have just posted, and they'll do like their own personal videos, or
Or
um,
a lake or a
there's videos
mountain.
that have,
Yeah,
yeah,
love
yeah.
that.
Um, and I love that. I love that raw. sense of it, and they're just trying to put themselves out there to say, look, this is me. But then you've got the other side of the commercialized thing that I was talking about earlier. I'm obsessed with commercialization. It's ridiculous. But listening to like America's Got Talent, for example, I don't think, and I could be completely wrong, I don't watch Britain's Got Talent, America's Got Talent, all that sort of shows on a Saturday night. But you get some of the videos that come up on YouTube, and you see some of this talent, which you think, my God, they're unreal. Their first audition, they're really nervous, and they smashed it. And there was one I was watching recently. I can't remember his name, but I was watching recently. Really, really good. But in the UK, is that because it's not wanted at that time, they know it's not going to be, it's not a big market for the UK to be country music. They sort of push it aside, and you see a lot of the UK artists go into audition in America to try and get their sort of standing to say, look, this is us, this is what we're doing, um,
So hard.
which
I
is
mean,
sad.
actually, it's a good point that you raised America's Got Talent or one of those Simon Cowell type shows because you had that's how Morgan Whalen came to be, I believe,
Yeah.
through one of those. And then I was talking to a guy recently called Donny Van Slee, who's actually, I believe, he's in our group, unless he's left it, Donny, um,
Shout
who
out, Donny.
I think he did quite well on that sort of show format, and he's a great artist. Actually, I posted some of his music recently after his Jeep got nicked by some horrible people, and he wrote a song about it. So, I posted that because I liked
What an
it, and I thought,
inspiration.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I thought, I know what an inspiring story, but I thought it
Yeah.
was a good song. And then I dug into his background, and so I had no idea you were in, America's Got Talent or whatever, that sort of thing. So it's so interesting to hear people's backstories and how people kind of navigate their way through this weird world of
Yeah.
music and where they end up. But for me, music is music and good is good. I'll listen to it. If it's crap, yeah, I won't
You give
tell
it
you.
to me.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. Exactly. I'll tell you to say, "Oh, go and listen to this. It's brilliant."
Oh, this is amazing. I think, from people's life story, I listen to, going back to the original things that we were talking about the artists that I listened to when I was growing up and the artists that I still listen to. I'm still obsessed by it and listening to the words and how they got together and how they got to the place they did. So, for example, I was listening to George Jones, and about his life story and where he come from, and it was just like a completely different world, like a completely different. What a hard ass background that was,
Mm.
to get where he wanted to be, to do something that he's so passionate about. And for me, there's a lot of stuff or a lot of old school country, artists that I listen to. I think, my God, you fought all the way through just to get that one moment, and they were found by then a record label. It was just, and then all of a sudden, all these songs come out. Um, and not to push him too much because I keep talking about George Jones all the time, but he is the greatest country music singer of all time. So,
I need to listen
uh,
to more of his stuff.
yeah,
I'm
you do.
embarrassed
Yeah,
to
I'm going to
say.
send you some things later. I'm
I
going to
think you
send you some
should.
things later.
I did create you a cover of George Jones. That probably was
Yeah, you did.
inappropriate.
Yeah, and I love it. Yeah,
We might share a
I
degree.
love it.
Um,
You
but
are
no,
my Loretta to my Conway, my June to my Johnny.
oh,
But yeah,
exactly.
it's really it's great to see how country music how far it's come,
It's evolved.
and
Yeah.
how much involvement people have got. And I have the opportunity to come on, you know, as a co-host 3 episodes in to sort of talk about that side of things from the old school, and you've got that side, and and listen to these incredible artists that have managed to, you've managed to get them on to do their own performance in here, which I think is nuts. It's just great. So
If you ask, it's really hard to say no, then, isn't
yeah,
it? That's what I think.
yeah. Any chance you could?
Yeah, two other people have done it already, so it feels like if you don't
Yeah.
do it, then yeah, exactly. It should be really awkward for you. No, I always say if it's anything that we do is completely optional. A, if you want to come on the show,
Yeah.
it's optional, sort of.
Yeah.
And then B, if
And
you
it's optional. It's also optional if you want me to be involved.
if you want
So
if you
you
want
go,
Ronnie to be
yeah, I'm fine
involved,
with Ronnie. I'm not
that's
interested. I
certainly
just want
optional.
TJ.
And then no, I always say, look, if you don't want to do a performance, I have no issue with that. It's just it'd be great if you do, don't get me wrong, and we'll try our best to record and edit that as best as we can, given the limitations that we have at the
Yeah.
moment. It's always difficult because I think if you listen to other podcasts, they're typically in the same room, which is easier to record and to edit. And we're doing this. We're speaking to people from Kentucky, for example, or Nashville. They're 6 hours behind us. They're over a Teams call. So, I think the spoken audio comes through quite well, but sometimes the music audio. So, try not to judge us too much, please. We do our best to, well, I do my best to edit it, even though I
You
have no
do?
clue what I'm doing.
Yeah. I don't, because I just point and thumb things and do whatever. But
Exactly. You could turn the
you've
computer.
done an incredible job in what you've done so far, and the material that's come out. So well done, TJ. And that's the last time I'm going to congratulate you on something.
So, if we're going to, yeah, thank me for something.
Yeah,
But
take it, golf club.
I'll take it.
Um, but I think we've got to remember, I don't come from this background. You don't come from that background. It's just something that we just want to get everybody involved in. Let's talk about it. Let's have a drink. Let's talk about it. Let's enjoy it and push it out.
I think so. And, just building on that, I think in terms of future guests, maybe we can do some, not reveals, but we can do some, types of people that we're talking
Yeah.
to kind of keep some intrigue, maybe. We'll
Yeah,
do.
and I think there's a couple of guests that I said to you before. I've been trying to get a couple of guests. I've messaged them and said, look, come and get involved. This is very much you want to come into the UK. There's a lot of people that are going around Europe, but they've been trying to get into the UK for so long. This is an opportunity. This is just let people hear you, let people see, hear what you do, and come and enjoy it. And they are very much like the old school country music sound. But I think we should have a mix. I think we should have a mix
Well, no.
because I think you're being very selfish.
Oh, yeah. I sent you a long list of people that I want on the show. I was
I'm
like,
not. I'm
maybe
not
one
doing
of
that.
actually, maybe put one or two, and then I'll think about it. But no, I think that one that you mentioned was really intriguing. Like you say, they're from Europe, and you
Yeah,
put me on
and it's
a
not
few
just
years.
one; it's a band.
Oh, it's proper
So
old stuff as well. It's not like
yeah.
your normal stuff. So I'm excited if we can get him on, then yes, I will
Well,
be well up.
once we posted this, because I've got no confidence in all these people that all the people that I'm messaging. They're sort of saying you've got like 2 followers, and you haven't been on the show yet, so
Well,
uh,
let
we're not
me.
responding
Look,
to
I'm saying it as
you.
if I've got any credibility whatsoever. Maybe let me have a few whiskies, and then just like
Blue Tick Squad.
Sonny Sweeney, I will message them. Yeah, and
Yeah, do it.
absolutely,
Hit
yeah,
them up.
just
Hit them up. Get
any
them on. Let's
opportunity.
have a laugh. I
Oh
love
yeah,
it.
no, do that. We'll do that after. And then with some more from Appalachia and stuff. I want to
Yeah.
dig right into that stuff because there's a guy, and I won't say his name in a minute because he's kind of semi-committed to it, and he's like your typical artist, quite flighty, quite cool, and he's reminded me to get back to him tomorrow because he'll probably forget, and but he said he'll be well up for it, and he's absolutely awesome. He's a real, he's quite a young fella, but he's amazing. I'll send you some YouTube clips anyway. In the
Yeah,
meantime,
do, yeah.
so you can see what I'm kind of trying to get on the show. And then we've
All
got
your
one
sneaky
confirmed.
contacts.
I know my sneaky contacts that
Sneaky
my
contacts.
late night contacts. So seedy.
Wait, late night whiskey contacts.
Anyone gets a message from me at past 12 o'clock, ignore it, please.
That's what I do. I just ignore you. Anything
Yeah.
between everything between 11 and 5 in the morning, I just ignore.
So I'm probably 4 whiskeys deep and talking shit. Yeah. That's
Listen, talking
great.
about whiskies, I
Ooh,
did actually. There's a little bit of a treat.
a
What a
segue.
treat! What a
I call
treat!
it on the show a segue. Oh.
A little segue. A little segue
Well,
into it.
let's see.
So,
I had two gifts from you this week. I had this bloody thing in a case. I don't
so
know.
it's a skull's head, Terry. All right.
I realised
It's a,
that. The
it's a,
missus
it's
actually
a.
picked it up. She's like, "Why did
s-
Dan send you this?"
See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
Okay,
It's Halloween. It's Halloween, so
so the way.
celebrate it.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
And the
Appreciate
other little present that I got you. So is a little trio of redbreast. Um, so I thought we could try that, and it's traditional Irish whiskey. I say traditional, I don't know, but just Irish whiskey. And I had a little try of this when I was in a hotel far away in Europe somewhere.
Hotel.
Um, and it was very nice, but it cost far too much money for one shot.
To be fair,
And I ended
I
up
put
remortgaging my house. So
well, you did tell me how much it cost, and I nearly fainted again.
yeah.
But no, I
So
did put a call out to the group a while back because I was like, I've tried, every Scotch going. I'm a bourbon guy by heart, and I wanted to try some Irish whiskies because you put me onto it, and everyone kept coming back saying Redbreast was the
yeah,
best. I should write their slogans from. Maybe not.
yeah.
Um,
No, we should do a slogans episode, or that was just bore
should
the
we?
people to death.
Or a shit
No,
bands episode, like I put up
shit bands
recently.
episode.
Yeah, like when my captions went wrong for one of the episodes, the short, and it was like Schumer Thesaurus. I thought that'd be an awesome band name, wouldn't it? Schumer
Yeah,
Thesaurus.
yeah. It's just disappointing.
So which one we trying?
What Well, what one do you want to go for? Red, orange, or green?
Well, we've got
I'm not going to
Redbreast
bother reading it
12.
out. You can do that because you're a
Well,
whiskey boy. But
we'll do that. Yeah, I do love me whiskey, and these are Irish whiskies, so single pot still, all of them. Redbreast. We've got 12 years, or we've got the Lustau. This is where my pronunciations are terrible. In
yeah, I was going to say,
sherry cask, or 15 years. So normally, the older it is, the more revered it is. But I don't know if that's the case here. I'm not a whiskey expert. I'm a whiskey fan,
no.
so I have no clue,
Should
basically.
we do? Should we try? Let's try the. I want to go for the middle one. Let's go for the orange. Or
Sherry.
do you want to do something different?
Is it because you like sherry?
A little tipple of sherry on a Saturday
An
night.
old woman, yeah. Ooh, you know
Ooh,
what?
interesting.
Oh, smells nice, doesn't it?
It's like a Christmassy smell, isn't it? Oh, don't talk about that. We're too
It's
close to
nearly
Christmas.
Christmas, mate. It's nearly Christmas. Right, well, I'm
Right,
going
you
to pour
ready?
one. That's what you
Have you
call
got
it.
any ice?
No, I don't do ice. I have
Oh,
my whiskey neat. Who's that song by?
oh, I don't know. If you if you sung it properly, I would probably had to know.
I didn't sing it in tune or in
Right,
time, so
that's the first one. So why don't you do your toast so far to where we are? So we're a little bit of time in actually, but
yeah.
do your
So we
toast
normally end the show as a celebration to everyone to say to the grit, to the grind, and to the
to
revival.
the revival.
And thanks everyone for listening. Cheers.
We're not finished yet.
That's why I stood still like that. Like
I've got questions to ask
remember
you.
Police Squad with Leslie Nielsen? They just stand at the end like that.
Do I need to get a little slogan for when I sign off? Mind you, there's a lot of people that probably won't want me on again. But we'll do a little, I'll try and find a little slogan. Anyway, cheers, Slancher.
That's nice. That's
That's
really
really
nice.
nice.
That
I
taste.
really like that.
This is like the worst. The worst whiskey. That's really nice. That.
That's really nice. It's
You should
whiskey.
try it. If you win it, you'd really like it. Yeah. Terrible whiskey. This is why we should never have a whiskey
Really good.
podcast. I did think
No, I
about
know.
doing it. I'm just going to
No,
drink it
but
and go,
that's
that's all right,
another
that.
pipe dream. Another pipe dream.
Whiskey drink. Mm. No, that is
Yeah, I'm
nice.
impressed with that. I like that. Let's go for that.
See,
So,
Irish whiskey can hold its own, I believe.
yeah,
You got
absolutely.
the
I've got to say, I do have a cube of ice in it, and I think that's from either the ice or the water is more of like is it a Scottish thing for the water?
well,
Maybe an ice thing for the
as I
Irish. I don't
know
know. Maybe.
through a friend, it was you get some whiskies that are I can't remember the terminology, but they're quite strong. So sometimes the water itself kind of opens up the flavour, but not particularly for the stuff I drink because I'm a cheap bastard.
No.
So I'm buying fucking cheap bourbon. So it's not going to open up any
A-
flavours.
Aldi's. Not saying that Aldi's bad, but there's
I
no.
know
Oh,
it's not there,
I've said
but
a brand name as well.
no,
Um, but
you know.
have you seen that YouTube video of the Scottish the Scottish chap? who takes it in a glass and then throws it away, and then fills it up again because he wants to get all the tannins out of the glass. And like, you've just wasted a glass of whiskey. Maybe that's a
Really?
thing. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean,
And then
I've
he's got
never
the biggest
thrown a
nose I've
glass
ever
away.
seen, to be honest, and sticks his nose in the glass. And yeah, it's not really for me.
Did he
If I want
offer
to
it to
listen and
somebody else
enjoy it,
after that? Because listen,
no,
I would have
no,
done.
he's on his own, and he does a YouTube video or whatever video he's on, advising people how to do whiskey, which I think is a bit ridiculous. Anyway, so I want
Yeah.
to ask you a question, TJ.
Oh, okay. Ask away.
What inspired you to make the Rugged Revival?
I knew you'd ask me that.
What inspired you?
I knew you'd
Because
ask
last time when we done a little tester, I don't know if you remember,
I
because we're
do
about
remember.
16 meters down. But when I asked you last time, you waffled a lot, and no, I still don't know to this day. I know, I know why, but every time I talk to you, it's after a couple of whiskies. So not me, you. But what inspired you, TJ?
I'm not a very good orator, as you know, which is why I interview people when they don't interview me, because I just talk shit for a long time.
That's why I wanted to do it.
Well, weirdly, I mean, it started off not as a rugged revival, but as cask and canvas, and it was like I wanted to do something I enjoyed doing. It was like drinking whiskey, so I thought I'm going to do whiskey reviews. But no one, nobody wanted to listen to me or watch me do whiskey reviews or something they can get down Aldi or Tesco.
Yeah.
Um, I thought, yeah, great that. Um, but no, it was always going to come back to music because my history in music is so weird, wide, and
So varied. Yeah.
varied. Because
Yeah.
back in the day when I was growing up, I was into hip hop and R&B, early on, and then for a long time I was into my house music, my trance music for a long time. I still am, to be fair. I love that stuff.
Mm.
Um, but it was always like growing up in pubs and growing up around bikers and older people and things like that. That sort of thing came about. So
Now that you
music
said
was
it,
always going to be part of it.
I've got to bring it up because a little birdie told me that you used to do a lot of DJing.
Oh, DJ Costa del Tel.
DJ, DJ Costa del Tel.
In the pubs of Luton.
Oh, I love it. But listen, it's what you
Losing my
enjoyed. It's what
mystique.
you enjoyed. It's what you loved.
I
You
still
done it
do.
there.
I love Ibiza. I love the Ibiza scene. It's changed a lot since I was young. Let's face it, since we were both young, Daniel. Yeah.
Don't put me, don't put me in the same bracket as you.
It's like, well, me and the missus went back with the kids this year, and the last time we went back, it was pre-kids, so 10, 12 years ago. And even in that time, it's changed an awful lot. But no, it was my childhood. Growing up in later high school years, I was into my Judge Jules, Ferry Corsten. My son's
For some
middle name
reason,
is Corsten. Funny enough,
really.
because
For some
I
reason, I thought you were going to say Judge Judy, and I was like,
Judge
oh,
Judy. I was, yeah.
controversial, controversial.
Judge Judy's one of the best house DJs out there.
Absolutely, I can just imagine her on the decks right now with all of
On the
her millions.
tours.
Anyway, go on.
Uh,
Yeah.
me mates did some pirate DJing back in the day, shall we say,
Yes,
in
love
Luton.
it.
Almost like a people just do nothing. If anyone in England's
Yeah.
watching, only people in England is going to watch this crap. But yeah, people just do nothing. That's kind of the stuff that we did back in the day.
But it was, I think I remember, you know, sitting with my group of friends somewhere, and we've just got like a CB radio. CB radios are like all the thing.
Oh, they were
It's got
awesome.
like a re thing from like a regeneration from the 70s or the, whatever. And like, oh my God. Everybody was trying to get the police channels. Oh, I've picked up the police. I picked up the police. No, you haven't. It's it's a taxi. It's a taxi firm
It's a
you picked
taxi
up.
driver or some farmer,
And and then
or yeah.
we managed to get the illegal radio station, so we'll be raving to it.
Oh,
It was
that's
brilliant.
awesome, though. They were the best radio station. It was
We
Raw
were,
FM Luton. So shout
yeah.
out, sort of big up the Raw FM in Luton. I don't think they're going anymore. Everyone's probably, retired or whatever. But no, that's and. I just love all types of music. Like I said, if it's good, it's good. I love listening to it. I'm not one of these people that's like, I'm into country, so I'll just listen to country and that's it. I think it's a bit boring. You got to listen to dad rock, you got to listen to classic rock, you got to listen
Talk
to
for yourself.
metal. Limp Bizkit, I want to go see them. That's part of my childhood as well. Limp Bizkit, I want to go see them.
So I said we weren't ending it. We're ending it now. No. No, I mean, I've got to say, my my bass music, my crux music, is country. Very much a country boy. Irish music, very much an Irish boy. Very proud of it. Um, and I've dabbled a little bit, going to Ibiza, listening to the house tunes, listening to all the raving tunes, loved it. Um, but my go-to is always going to be country music.
Same, yeah.
I love
If
it.
if when I get on before these podcasts, I'll let you into a secret. I try and get myself pumped up like the Ultimate Warrior,
Yeah,
and I'll
yeah,
put some tunes on. It's always country tunes though. Maybe
yeah,
a bit of Bryan Adams. Can't
yeah.
stop these things. I can't even sing that, but a bit of Shane Smith and the Saints. I'll stick a bit of that on, and it just gets me in the mood for
Yeah.
talking to
Oh,
you.
do you know what? Do you know what? Before we come on here tonight, I was just looking at my my recently played tunes on Alexa and Apple, and actually it's Billy Joe Spears' "Blanket on the Ground,"
I'm gonna
and
need
I
to
loved it,
listen to that.
and just just to get me in a vibe of the country music
I
songs,
need
I
to
love it.
listen to that. I
Um,
was going to say what, and I ask some of the guests sometimes like, what has been on your playlist recently that people probably wouldn't expect? Because everyone wants to be cool, everyone
so
wants to be, hip. But what's on yours?
right, I'll tell you what. Let me just bring this up. 2 seconds. Let me just bring it up, and I will tell you. I will
Type
tell
in
you.
something cool very
Goodness
quickly.
gracious me!
Yeah, whatever.
So I've got. So today I've got Buck Owens.
Okay.
Do you not know Buck Owens?
No, I just did. Okay,
Act
because I thought if I did
Naturally,
that,
Street of Bakerfield. I've got a Tiger
no.
by its tail. You've got to listen to that because it's a great
Tiger
song.
feet. Is
It's
that
from.
mud? Is that
Don't insult me.
listen.
And then I've got Charlie Pride.
Hmm.
Then I've actually got Adam Hood, The Shape of Things.
I've made you
Adam
listen to
Hood,
him. He's
Tennessee
awesome.
Will.
Should we tell
Um,
people why we've been listening to Adam Hood lately? I mean, it's out the
well,
cat's out the bag
just hold.
anyway.
You've just asked me. You've just asked me about a playlist.
I'm
You
sorry.
can't cut me off like that. I need to tell
Well,
you.
it's all about me.
Um, and then I've got Back to the Blue Side by the
Okay.
countryside of Harmonica Sam.
Mhm.
Uh, and then there's only a couple more that I'll tell you about. Leaving it all out now. Pickup Man. Now, the only reason I've played
Pick up man.
Pickup Man, uh, so it's a sort of mix with Hicks Tape and Joe Diffie. Joe Diffie is an incredible singer, by the way, or was an incredible singer. Anyway,
Okay.
so I think I've got that. I haven't confused him with someone else. But so apologies if I've just said
You're
something which
still
is
alive.
completely incorrect.
That's great.
But pickup man, because I bought a pickup truck.
Hmm.
Talk about countryside. Honestly, I bought a
But do you
pickup
have to
truck.
listen to a guy called Pickup Man just because you
You
want to pick up?
must, you must. It's the law. You
What have you
have to,
bought?
have to. Um, it's an Isuzu D-Max, and it's
Why do
one
you
of the
need that?
best vehicles because I've got two big dogs, obviously, and I live in the middle of the town. So there's no need for me to have it whatsoever, apart from the fact I've got two big dogs. So I have to have a pickup truck. So I moved from a 4x4, a usual make, um, which was just being riddled with problems. So I'm not going to say the make, and cost me a fortune. But I bought a pickup truck. I've always wanted one, and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to get one. My car's ready to renew, so I thought I'm going to get one. And then I thought I would clearly today and yesterday. I thought I'd play a bit of "I Used to Love Her" by the Saw Doctors, bit of Irish, and then the last one is, in fact, there's two. So "Heartaches by the Number," which is Dwight Yoakam. Have you
I've
ever?
heard
Oh,
of Dwight
got the
Yoakam,
teeth
but
back
to
in.
be fair, I want to listen to more of it because a lot of people have said that
Oh,
that's their inspiration and
honestly, Dwight
idol.
Yoakam is incredible. Honestly, is just what you need for a Friday, Saturday night. Brilliant. Really,
But
really
I
good.
think this is a good thing about, the podcast that we're doing and the thing that we're doing. We're not going to admit that we know bloody everyone. So
No,
it's a journey
no.
to go, okay, I've heard of him, but let's kind of delve into it. So it's no shame in saying, this is me justifying myself now. It's no
No.
shame in not knowing all these people. You can't know everyone. So yeah, I think I'm
No,
going
and
to.
that's why, also we get on. This is why we've got two sides of it. We've got two sides of, your experience, my experience, and I know all these singers. I know all the music they play because I've listened to them for years and years and years. And now it's just, you're giving me examples to listen to. I'm giving you examples, and it's building our knowledge,
It
isn't it?
is, and I like finding indie artists. So, like I said, and I've kind of slammed his name down a few times. But yeah, we've got people like Brennan Edwards at the minute. I've sent you details for, and Nathan Bess is one I probably mentioned 300 million times.
Yeah.
They're just awesome people, and I think why aren't more people listening to them? Honestly, they're just that good.
But
So
this is why, for me, I get to listen to them now. I get to, you've identified these people. Let's listen to them. Let's get them on. Let's do what we can to come and speak to them and, reach out.
and maybe they'll talk to us. Well, who knows? We'll see.
They won't talk to you, but
Maybe not.
oh, it's not that geezer who bores everybody. Is it? um, so he talked about. Have we had that conversation about what inspired you? I can't remember now.
Don't know. You're meant to be interviewing me. Mate. For once,
Listen,
I'm
it's
not
my
doing it.
first one. It's my first one. Please, I'm a novice.
Where's your notes? Go back
Um,
to your notes.
okay, so you said about your best moments. You said
Mm.
about the inspiration. So when you turn 50 in January, um, what what are you looking forward to? So where do you see the rugged revival next year? What do you want to do? What's your inspiration? You talked about it. What's your pipe dreams?
Well, first of all, I'll start by saying I'll be 40 in January, as you can see from this beautiful
Yeah, it's good
face.
light, isn't
There's a lot of
it?
filters on this camera, I tell you.
Little spring
Um,
chicken, you.
no, it's odd to try and put it into context. We've done so much in so little time with the podcast and me just coming up with random things going, I want to do that. And
Which is
that's
brilliant.
what I really enjoyed talking to Josh because he's very similar to me, but way more
Yeah,
successful and way more contacts. But and that's where you talked about his song Little Fires, and that was funny enough about all of these bloody projects
yeah,
he's
yeah,
going on and seeing where it burns and where it goes to. And I love that. So for me, I would definitely love to continue the podcast and get some cool people on and bore the shit out of them and ask them weird questions. That'd be funny. I think that'd be good. The Granel Revival, we'll probably have to change the name,
grand old revival.
but
No,
people know what we're
we're not
talking.
changing that name. We're not changing that
They'll
name.
change their name.
Yeah,
They'll
exactly.
change their name. Josh promised me, in fact,
Actually,
that
just
we go on.
sorry, just on that, I when I posted my introduction video, actually,
Hmm.
I was in my pickup, and that exact day, it was the Grand Old Opry's anniversary,
Hmm.
and that day they announced that the Grand Old Opry is coming to London. So I think it's the Royal Albert Hall. I'll have to check it, but I definitely think it's the Royal Albert Hall, and that is in 2025. So I'm hoping that we can get some tickets for that at the Royal Albert Hall.
That'll be good.
Because as soon as they're released, then I'll get on that straight away because we might be able to get to see our favourite people and really experience the country music in the UK. So, but anyway, so that was
No,
that was
that'll be
all.
good. I think we're quite important people. So for anyone from the Granada Opera in London, want to reach out to us.
What did you what did you call it the other day? Blue tick wankers or something? Something
No,
along them lines.
I was referring to myself. Yeah, referring.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yourself.
Yeah, so we're
Okay.
important people. Reach out, and we might attend. We'll see. Might be busy.
If we're not washing our hair that night or not dressing up in Stetson or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff. Filson for me.
Yeah.
Filson.
Filter.
If you're getting in contact. Right. I'll stop talking shit. But no, I think for next year, certainly, I mean, I'd love to do that grand old revival thing.
That'd be incredible.
If people want to know, it's like a festival or a concert for people that we're friends with or people that we admire online. The indie artists, the
Definitely.
doesn't have to be just indie artists, but established artists that kind of believe in what we're doing. Come over to the UK. We'll have a venue. This is where I'm going to promise stuff that I can't deliver. Yeah. We're going to have
How
a
much whiskey?
awesome venue. It's going to be brilliant. A sound stage. There's going to be, food trucks. There's going to
Gonna be
be
cameras. There's gonna be
whiskey.
there's gonna be people doing the floor. There's gonna be buffets.
I don't know
It's
where
not.
I'll be, but
It's gonna
oh,
be a rugged revival. That's what it's gonna be.
it will be the rugged revival, and I think it's going to be awesome. So I'd love to get that underway. We need to go visit the US. Like I said,
Yeah.
Josh promised me, and I haven't forgotten that. I might have been a listening to. Maybe he was as well, but he said come out to the Kentucky Derby, come out and see the barn, go see some bands play live, even do a podcast because he's got J.R. Miller playing at the next
Wow.
Ramble at the Randall, and that's the guy that we saw warm up for Tyler Childers at
Yeah.
in the
Incredible.
year. He was amazing. So I'd love to actually go out there and to do the things that we're talking about. And then the usual things like build on the networks. It's still early days. We've got a really good network of people in the group itself, in the Facebook group, not just of
Yeah.
fans of the music, but actual artists and people involved in the industry. A real good mix. And I think it's not about how many people we can get in there. It's about how many quality people that we can get engaging. If it just sticks at a certain number,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I'm cool. It's not about how many people you get involved. It's the quality of it.
Sorry, I was gonna say something then, and you carried on talking. Sorry, I was like, start breathing. But just going back to what you're saying, it's about enjoying it. It's not about commercializing it. It's not about, you know, earning money out of it. It's not about, all this stuff that you get with the usual sort of events. It's about enjoying it and meeting people more and more, to building up our friends, to building up the people that want to view this, to the people that want to hear it. You know, it's an opportunity just to get together, to have a good time and a
Yeah,
whiskey.
yeah. And we're talking about that. We got Chris Williams in the group, just a
Yeah,
regular dude that lives
yeah,
not actually far from me, and it's great. He's not a famous person. He's not in the industry or anything. He's just somebody that supported what we've been doing right from the early doors, and I love speaking to him. I love the fact that he engages with all of the people that comes
yeah,
into the
yeah.
group. And that's what it's about for me. It's not about, like I say, commercializing it. It's that's what I want.
Oh, I've seen a lot of I've seen a lot of posts from is it Camden?
Oh, Camden from
Yeah,
Washington, I believe. Yeah.
incredible. I mean, some of the places that he's been, some of the some of the stuff that he's been involved in. I just think it's brilliant. I love seeing it on the group. I don't know how to like it. I don't know how to share it. I don't know how to do anything. So shout out to anybody who can help me with that.
I thought you were
But
just being quite unsociable by not doing any of those things, to be
no,
fair.
it's
Yeah.
because I have no idea what I'm doing. But I'll learn. This is all about learning. This is learning for you. You need a lot of learning, but
Not
there's
as much
learning
as
for
you.
you about about editing, about getting this out and getting people involved. And I love the fact we've got this little community. This little community
And
that is gonna,
maybe this is a shameless plug to say, look, I'm trying my very best. I'm doing all
yeah,
the audio editing, the video editing. I'm doing anything that you see online is just me
it
prattling
is you.
about
Yeah, it is
in my spare time. So if anyone's got some, deep expertise, any of this, I'll never say no to saying, help me out. I'd love that. But
absolutely
we just
hundred
want it to
percent.
make it
And
look as best as it can.
yeah, and if anybody wants to take up my social media and to do it for me, or anybody wants to deal with my stuff, then feel free.
Feel free to duck out
Because
that one.
I'll
Yeah.
just be like, yeah, like that, yeah, do that, share that, yeah, copy me in, or it's not copy, it's tag or whatever that rubbish. But honestly, it'll be a great time. We'll do everything we can. We talked about earlier off here. We'll do everything we can to organise, a venue. We'll try and get some sponsors, whatever just to make it happen because it's got to happen. It's got to be the grand old revival.
And it will be, yeah. And I think it's a good time to probably sign off there, mate, isn't it?
I think you're absolutely right.
We've bored people long enough. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
And I'm going to
yeah.
make him say it. I'm going to make you say it.
Are you ready?
Raise a toast. Go on,
I'm
do
going to
it.
raise a toast to the grit, the grind, and the revival. I've been Rugged Ronnie. Give the Rugged Revival a follow. And that's TJ. You know TJ anyway. Cheers.